Welcome back to AI for That, everyone. Today with Cédric Gilissen, co-founder of Wonka, based in Belgium. Cédric, I'm particularly excited to talk to you because I've been watching how much Wonka is doing still with such a relatively small team. Thanks for making the time.
Thanks, mate. Very excited to be here.
So give us just a 1 to 2 sentence overview of what is Wonka?
Sure. We started out as a GPT wrapper, like they used to say, right? So building on top of OpenAI models, helping companies take advantage of that new technology where we believed it mattered most in the email box, because we see that, or we saw that a lot of people were wasting a lot of time there. And so the first project really came out of this idea of like trying to reduce the time that we spent on sending out emails. Also because like for me personally, I'm dyslexic, right? So I write horribly, and then using that technology to actually come at the same level as more senior people in the company was really nice for me. At the time, I was working in an insurance company, and yeah, today we've evolved to really being like a full service provider. So on a daily basis, we have more than 20 people now working on AI agents. So it's really like taking that same technology, but connecting it to existing tools based on the processes that the companies have worked out, and really trying to make sure that it can assist humans in doing certain stuff digitally. And that can be onboarding new people, that can be still sending out emails. We still do that, but it can also go much further. Like we literally have AI agents that can buy stuff for you as well. Like any extent of things that you can do on your computer today, if you can put that in a process, if you can write that down, if you can give the AI the right access, then it's something that you can actually do with an AI agent today.
So are you both creating agents for companies and going into companies and figuring out what
Yeah,
agents
yeah.
need?
So I think the biggest realization was that a lot of people, they use ChatGPT, they use Microsoft Copilot, and they say it's dumb. It doesn't understand me. I ask something 7 times and it still hasn't learned what I'm asking, right? I think that is very recognizable for most people. That is really the core of our business. It's adapting the AI, making sure it understands you, that it understands your business logic, and that it can actually work as somebody that has already been working for a long time at your company. And that is the core of what we do. And part of it is in services. So we do a lot of like, okay, this is your process. Now we're going to put that in the AI, or we take a base model from OpenAI and then we're going to add some extra information on the company to make sure that it can better assist people in certain tasks. But there is also a product offering, right? Because we come to the conclusion that like a copilot is oftentimes not what people want to use, because it doesn't necessarily always integrate well with the services that you want to use yourself. So I'll give you a concrete example. Most of the companies that we work with, they use ERP systems. That can be SAP, that can be Odoo, that can be something like AFAS, right? And we can help them integrate in one click into that system. And then we will make sure that they have from the first day something in which they can actually create those AI agents that we've been talking about. And so on one side, we make money in consultancy, right? We help businesses apply their logic in the AI. And then on the other side, we understand that a lot of companies, they don't want to spend too much money on that consultancy part. And they need a good product in which they can do the same thing themselves. So that's the idea.
Wow. So it's so interesting to me. So it's both product and service that you're
Yeah,
offering. And I
yeah.
imagine that, in product development, we talk so much about being close to the user, making sure that you're understanding the user.
Mhm.
Because you're offering the service as well, I imagine that really informs your product design and development. Is that right?
Yeah, indeed. I think that's the biggest luck that we have had. So we're not that old. We're 2 years or almost 3 years as a company, and we've serviced more than 100 clients, which is a lot in consultancy. Oftentimes, consultants they will work with a small number of clients on very big projects. We sometimes make the conscious decision to really go for a really small project, but that way we can also make sure that the impact that we're having, return on investment wise, in the company is really big. And so yeah, in the services we go all in on that part, but obviously you also have to make sure that those companies that you come and you explain what AI can do, that they have something to actually make that work. And that is really the product. It's really making sure that you also have that environment in which you can do the things yourself.
Yeah. What I appreciate about that is the focus on, uh, as it sounds to me, on enduring impact. You're not just a
Mhm.
service provider who's going in and sort of fulfilling a
Yeah.
scope of engagement and leaving. You're making sure that the client is actually left more capable than when you started.
Yeah, indeed. And you can really, what we can make sure is that they have a system, they're using that system, and then the moment they feel like, we have a new process, but we don't really know how to integrate it, they can still knock on our door. We can help them with that. And it's really like more and more you have this play, I think, in AI, which is like the understanding that companies, they're no longer buying software, they're buying a service, and they want to make sure that like they have like a direct line of contact, that they know that okay, if the thing is not doing what it's supposed to do, that they can talk to an expert and it can be fixed immediately. And so this service as a software business model, it's not exactly what we are doing, right? But it's really something that I see as like a big trend. It has already been transitioning for years, right? But you see that AI is accelerating that transition.
Yeah, it seems like really what they're doing is buying the ability to exhale when problems come up.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed, 100%.
And I'm curious. One of the things that I'm certainly not alone in this, but that I'm amazed by is the way that small startups and leaders are using AI internally as they
Yeah,
grow,
yeah,
both to amplify impact and also to mitigate operating expenses or keep them at their necessary
yeah.
levels. So I imagine you're quite thoughtful on that front. Um, can you give us one or two examples of creative or just I don't know, they could be mundane as as well, ways that you're using AI internally in that regard?
I mean, so obviously the AI is completely impacting the way that people interact with any software. That is fundamentally something that I would say also a lot of software like companies are a little bit scared of, because what AI is doing is really leveling the playing field for people, for tools, for everybody, right? There's no hiding when you're using AI. The AI will immediately understand is it a good software or not. It doesn't matter if the button is green or blue. It doesn't matter if the interface has confetti when you click on the deal, it is closed. All of those things they disappear. Fundamentally, what is important now is just that you have a very fast, well-structured software that has a lot of capabilities that are not something that could just be done with a prompt and an AI model, right? And so you really see this trend of like, okay, if you are using more and more the AI to do certain types of work, you're going to evaluate the underlying software in a different way. And
Mm,
we see a lot of companies that are doubling down on that. Like Odoo is a great example of that. They have completely embraced this AI mindset and they're just going all in, and they're really understanding that is going to be the way that people are going to operate with our software, and they're making sure that the software adapts to the AI. They really see it as there's two users now. There's the AI and there's the human user, right? And you have to make sure that you can service both. Um, we don't see that with all of the software. And so one of the things that I think that we're most proud of is that we've also built something like the agent mode of OpenAI, but then really focused on stupid process automation of like really small processes. And
Like,
so a concrete example is, let's say that you're onboarding a new employee. You need to make an email address. You need to send that information to that person. You need to put them in all of the systems. That's all manual work, right? And so that's something that with an AI agent that has access to my computer, like the agent mode, I can easily explain the script, step one, step two, step three, and it can execute it for me. And that to me was like the first time I saw it was like the big aha moment. Like this is something that is so stupid for me personally, but every person that I need to onboard, I need to think about that entire checklist,
yeah,
manually do it. But now I can actually ask the AI to do that. That is also not like a value add service in the company, right? It is not something crucial that we have to think about. And we
right,
even can go as far and out of all like pure transparency, we didn't do it yet, but I'm really thinking about it. Like we also have a list with all of the laptops that we have in the company. And like what I want to do next is if the laptop is not available and there's somebody joining the company, that it automatically goes into Amazon and orders the laptop for me. And that's the next thing that is now in the onboarding flow with all of the AI agents that we're trying to set up. But people also have to understand that like if you have a good platform, like for example the Wonka chat, or if you have like all of your systems connected to ChatGPT, you can actually go build AI agents super quickly. And it's really about thinking what are all of the scenarios that I need to capture in one AI agent and making sure that information is there. And a lot of people, they just assume that they can say to the AI agent, onboard me this new employee. That's not how it works. You really have to think about like, what are all the steps, make them clear. And if there are edge cases, you have to announce those edge cases in your prompt as well to make sure that the system is as complete as possible.
I, I, I'm moved by your enthusiasm about how much is possible, and both, you're creating proprietary software that makes this much easier. But
Hmm.
even just going into Chat GPT and connecting the dots, how much is possible. Um, I want to go behind the scenes. So you said you're 2 years old. You'll be next month at 27
Yes.
employees on the team, and this is the first startup that you founded. Is that right?
It is technically the first company that I founded, yes. But I've been doing multiple things before. So my first professional experience was in a startup. Um, And then I also brewed some beer. We did a couple of projects. Always been the ambition to do something tech related, and to really try and service businesses directly. Was always the plan.
What was the spark inside that you were following that sort of always had you headed in this direction?
Sorry. So the the thing is that I was always like really interested in technology in general. Um, AI technology in general in 2017, 2018 is when I first started really being serious about understanding that field, trying to build also things myself. So I'm not a coder, or not at all an experienced coder, but I was trying to make my own first demos that were using. It was the GPT technology was not yet accessible, so you had to use different models, but trying to do things with it. Um, then I remember in 2019, I had to write my thesis, and that was when Google Duplex announced like their how do you call it? What was it? Yeah, Google announced Google Duplex, which was basically like an AI bot that would call your hairdresser to make an appointment for you. And I really believed fundamentally that that would be the most important technology that was ever going to be put on the market. And so I was really researching that for like my thesis. Then GPT-2 came out. We could start to use that. I was using it also to write my thesis. And I really fundamentally understood like this is 100% what I want to do. But there were not really like concrete business opportunities for it yet. Like the technology was in all honesty, it was shit. Like it was literally you could you could count on it to make like two or three good sentences, but then everything would fall apart. And it was only when GPT-3 was launched, which later became GPT 3.45, which was then in ChatGPT, that the technology was actually fundamentally seen as being ready. And I think a lot of people at the time already saw that that was going to be the next step, but they didn't expect it to take that long. It's literally, it was there, it's as if there was like a gap of 2 years in which not a lot happened. And also from a consumer perspective, the way that you use your phone or anything, like Siri already at that time existed 10 years. That's crazy when you think about it. And the technology had not at all gone forward. And then since the last 2 years, we're in this completely new cycle in which there was clearly a technological like breakthrough, and then you had MCP, you have reasoning models, and most organizations are not yet like completely understanding how far that transition has already gone. If today you want a voice bot to talk to your hairdresser, that's perfectly possible. Like there's nothing that is going to hold you back to do that, other than human adoption, right? And so I I think like when ChatGPT came out, it was just really clear, like it's now or never. The technology is there. I had already had been experimenting with GPT technology for years at that point, and so just felt as the good moment. And obviously, I don't regret that decision. Yeah,
Yeah, so you were in a way the earliest of early adopters, and really primed and ready when uh,
yeah.
when
I was
GPT-3.
definitely not the first one. I remember when GPT-2 came out, like in the micro community that existed at the time, there was like an amazing breakthrough moment. And I think some people also, when ChatGPT came out, had like stress syndrome from post-traumatic stress syndrome from that GPT-2 launch, because at the time I remember like I was feeling the same excitement as I had when ChatGPT came out. It really felt like, this technology is ready, but it turned out not to be true.
Yeah, not yet. Um,
Yeah.
I'm curious because you and your team, you've worked with so many different companies. How many companies
More
have you
than
worked?
hundreds. Yeah, more than hundreds. And that's really going from big corporates, like, for example, Stellantis, the Belgian railway companies is working with us, to super small moms and pops. I mean, the ambition for us is really to help companies of any size get an understanding of like which concrete opportunities are realistic for them today, what requires investments, what just requires training, because there's a big part of AI today, which is just understanding what is possible, having access to the right tools, and then starting to experiment with it. And so that is also a big part of our business today.
Yeah, so I want to hear a little bit more about that. First, I want to hear like what are the top, say, two um, obstacles or
Mhm.
impediments to AI adoption that
Yeah.
you encounter in the companies you've worked with?
But I think the first one is a lack of understanding. And I don't blame the people, just to be clear on that. Like, there is so much fake news also in the AI world. And then you see, like, I created this AI agent that is doing my whole marketing, that kind of stuff, that's polluting really the space of the realm of what is actually possible. And so a lot of the benefits that we see of AI happen much more in a co-pilot way, that you interact with AI, work together on a certain process. Um, that has been, I would say, the biggest one. And then the second one is a lot of people go in it for productivity increase, which you can often get, right? It's not like it's something that but the problem is there are also so many productivity traps when it comes to AI. Like, it's easy to get um to get overexcited and start doing a lot of research with AI, and really get stuck in this unproductive cycle. And so I think that is something that we need to better address. And also companies need, the ones that are in it for the quality increase, they oftentimes are really excited, because that's like the thing that AI will help you the most in. If in certain things you're not an expert, like the AI can actually really help you to go quite far in that. And so companies that say, I want my experts to also be able to do different things, and which they're not necessarily an expert, but to make sure that the scope of what they can do is larger, that's really the ideal case. And so there needs also to be more awareness around that. And the big
Yep.
problem, of course, is like when you're going to use AI, when you're going to evaluate it, you're going to evaluate it on the things that you are an expert on. And so the chance that you're like, that's dumb is a lot bigger than if you ask it to do something that you're maybe not that good in.
Yeah. It reminds me. I want to see if I can find it. Um, yeah, this is great. There was this study done at Procter and Gamble on product development. Did you read this? Uh,
No?
Comparing it, it compared. There are four groups. One group that just individuals not using AI, individuals using AI,
Yeah.
a team of two without AI, and a team of two with AI. And the teams of two, the pairs, they were like one commercial person and one technical person. And what they found was that um, for the individuals, especially the commercial people not
Hmm.
using AI, I have the graph here. For the commercial people not using AI, their solutions were not very technical. For the commercial people using AI,
Yeah.
their solutions were just as technical um,
Yeah.
as the teams of a commercial person and a technical person.
Hmm.
So very much in line with what you're saying that
Yeah.
um, if you don't have a certain technical expertise, at least up to a certain point, AI can really help complement what you bring and bring
Exactly.
technicality into it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what why we really like people that think of AI like yeah, like a colleague that they can work with together. That's really the right analogy to optimally use that technology.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying too. That sometimes it can be disheartening and discouraging if you see all the AI hype, and then you come
Yeah.
up against something and you're not measuring up. So those are the obstacles. I want to hear what are the sort of the top three most helpful things that you do or that you help folks do that really increase useful AI adoption.
Mhm. Yes. Easiest thing is research, right? If you have internal knowledge bases, but also, for example, CRM systems with like a lot of context on the client, having the right research at your fingertips, that today is like the biggest quick win, right?
Mhm.
If tomorrow you're jumping on a call with a client that bought a product from you that you haven't sold in 3 years anymore, uh, that is the ideal use case to start with, right? Taking all of the information that you have, making it accessible. Then I would say the second thing is data entry, right? A lot of people, they are spending half of their day behind a computer just inputting information that is in their head, but has to be in the system in a certain format. And if you set up good agents, you can really work from voice-based to, for example, timesheets, or from an email that comes in with a picking order to a filled-in ERP system. Like the possibilities of input and output are I would say quite extensive. And then the third one is really, I think it is like a fundamental shift in how you want your people to do certain processes. A lot of people, they are adapting AI towards the way that they're currently working, but then you can also go one step further and you can say, how do I adapt my business to the reality that AI brings today? And that is a much more vague, but we see more and more companies that do that and that say, okay, I understand that now AI can do this kind of thing, and so I will adjust my business to be more answering to that thing. And especially for companies that are themselves service providers of software providers, sorry, that's really what they have to think about. But then
Mhm.
also even companies that are service providers, they can think about that, right? When
And
you're an
we can also
accountant. Sorry?
Maybe you're doing this, maybe you're about to do this. Can you give us a concrete example of what that step further is of adapting business process to the reality that AI enables?
Yes, exactly. So, like, everybody that is in business has an accountant, right? And the accountant can say, I'm going to use AI to do, for example, better matching of the invoices, that process internally goes more efficient. Sure, perfect. That's already a good use case, but that's more in the first category or in the second category, right? Where you go above and beyond, it's really like when your customers are doing their business, sometimes they get out of the reality of how the business is doing, right? You lose overview of how you're doing on the financials, you lose overview of how you're doing on HR, but that customer is probably already using ChatGPT, right? So what you can do is you can tell that customer, hey, we built a couple of AI agents, they're connected to your data, and they can even proactively give you reports on how the business is doing. That's like a perfect reality today. If an accountant wants to do that, it can make sure that the CEO of all of the clients on the first of the month are receiving a report that shows last month was like this compared to the month before. You forgot these invoices. Maybe that's something that you need to check. At the same time, keep in mind, next month we're going to be doing your tax reports. Already think about maybe do you want to do some optimizations in your taxes, right? That is going above and beyond. And it is really a mindset shift because like the first and the second one, it's more internally, and the third one is oftentimes more externally. But it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? You can also go above and beyond towards your employees. That's also something that you can definitely do.
So there's another level of I want to say customization,
Yeah.
even personalization
Yeah.
that's
And so
possible.
one other example that we're now doing internally, like, and it's definitely not a substitute for like a human onboarding, right? But we are also working on an AI agent that will help people that are coming into the team to be better onboarded. And so one easy thing is, okay, they can ask questions on the HR documentation and on the technical documentation, but we can also think about like how can we make an AI agent that is going to be proactive and that is going to say, you've been working here for a week. How are you feeling, right? And that sounds really scary and strange, but it will help so much more to think about to think in new processes that you are and concepts that were previously impossible, right? It will then allow you to say, okay, if I do that every time, then I can really get a feeling over time if new people join the company, if the culture is improving or decreasing. Like the possibilities are not endless, but at least the scope of possibilities has really grown a lot.
Enormously so. Um, I'm amazed. I'm wondering two things. One, the pace of change and development in the AI world is breathtaking.
Yeah.
I can imagine being in this service provider role that you want to stay on top of it, and that can also be not just you, but you want to make sure the whole company is on top of it. One, how the hell do you do that?
But you don't. That is the thing. Like we are definitely always, we're not always trying to catch the latest thing. I always say at people who feel overwhelmed, you don't have to be the first person. You just don't have to be the last person. Obviously, it's better to be in front. But I mean, it's not like you're running a course where it's clear with path you have to take, right? And so you want to make sure that you're not wasting too much time on discovery. We are now in a very lucky position where we can have inside of the team multiple experts that are focusing on one subdomain. So we have one person in the company that is allowed to be distracted with all of the new AI model news and that is looking, okay, what is actually something that is useful for us and what is just noise, right? And so I don't look at the latest AI model launches anymore. Like it is, I know that is something that we're taking care of. And we split that up a little bit like that. But then obviously, by you need to keep experimenting, need to try and do certain stuff in a discovery way. So you have to make time for that. But yeah, it is the worst thing that you can do is to just always look at that next thing and have that as an excuse not to improve your current processes. Like if you just take GPT-4o, the last model, you create an MCP layer on all of your internal tools, you're going to have a huge productivity increase in the company. If now you're saying, I want to switch to Grok, then to Gemini, then to ChatGPT again, that's going to be such a big distraction, and the marginal gains that you get in those new models, they're
Yeah.
not worth it.
So the great is really good enough is what I'm getting from you, and
That's
that
exactly what's most of the processes that people want to improve today, they can already be done with, like, I would say, models that were there in May of this year. And MCP has been around since November. And for me, that is still the most important technology that is making all of this possible, more on the business side, right? And so as long as I have MCP and a good reasoning model that I can count on in a good interface where the whole team can work on it and try and create new AI agents, I will feel very comfortable in the feeling of, okay, the business is going somewhere with AI, where we see that that is not really the reality in all of the businesses today.
so the three core ingredients, it sounds like, in your perspective, are MCP plus reasoning with whole team access.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Top-down AI innovation rarely works. You need to create the environment top-down. You need to do security top-down. And then you have to allow people bottom-up to create AI agents. That is always going to work better. Obviously, people need to be trained for that. And uh, I don't think everybody in the company should be an AI expert, right? But expecting one person from the top to create an AI agent for a process that they have never executed themselves is completely stupid. That doesn't work.
Yeah. So do you have people use Wonka for the team access, or where would you point them if they want to?
Yeah, so I mean that is like really like the biggest selling point of the Wonka chat is that you can say top level, okay, these tools we allow, these tools we don't allow, these models we allow, these models we don't allow, but then they get an interface in which everybody that in the company that you want to be able to use AI agents, they have access to AI agents, and automatically it's going to respect the access controls that they have. So, for example, somebody that doesn't have access to the accounting will never be able to reach the accounting within the Wonka chat, even if they try to how do you say, prompt hack the system. That's really impossible. And then also it is like once you have that access, like you should also decide who are the people that can create AI agents themselves. And that is also what we just make possible. So you just have like those two types of users. You decide who is in which group, and that way you can really make sure that the AI agents are like created bottom up.
So people can create AI agents within Wonka as well.
Yeah, yeah. That is like literally you take your process, assuming you have your tools connected. You just say, I need these tools, and then your AI agent is created. Uh,
Wow.
there's no coding involved. It's just you say what you want to do, and you have to explain it well. And if you explain it well, it works.
Do you want to show us in like a 2 minute demo?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Um, right, because I need to make sure that I don't show any proprietary data. Um, so how it works. Oh, do you hear me?
Yep.
Ah, I have to share my screen. Voilà. So this is the Wonka chat. Normally on the left side, you also have a history of the conversation, right? But I just put that part off right now. And then on the right side, you can start building AI agents, right? So here it's really working with a prompt. So you just explain what you want the model to do. So here it's in Dutch. This is an agent that is going to allow to create a new lead into the CRM system, right? And then you can choose any model that you want to use. So, for example, here we have OpenAI, Anthropic models as demo models that we can use. In this case, for example, Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And then I could just make some changes as well to more of the techie features, right? But this is also something that you decide who has access to it, who doesn't have access to it. You could also add more tools to it, right? So if you, for example, work with HubSpot or things like that, you can add anything into the system. And then it's, for example, so lead creation, create a lead called Coca-Cola for the Start AI track. And then, so normally the way that you do that is that, for example, if you're at an event, then you take a picture of the card of that person, and you will add it to, you will ask to add it to the CRM. So here it's asking for some more information, right? It says I'm going to use the Start AI tag, but do you have contact information? I will say, no, I will add the rest later, but maybe you can create a reminder for me to edit. And then it has access to our CRM system, right? And it's going to do that work for us. Here's what I'll set up. Okay. I think it should work.
There's
Do
a
we have
question.
the classic demo effect? No, okay, perfect.
This
So it is
this looks
executing it in the system.
right.
Yeah?
So that looks super effective. The maybe I'm misunderstanding. This looks like you using an agent, but I also saw a little button that showed up that said "Create Agent."
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. So that is one of the things that we found was like one of the biggest bottlenecks in user adoption. That a lot of people they don't want to spend time to what I showed on the right side to create that AI agent. And so we were building our own sort of AI system that is going to allow from any conversation that you're having in the chat interface to automatically create an AI agent. So the way that you today create AI agents, it's basically trial and error. You try something, if it doesn't work, then you try again. Then you give more context. You say, but you shouldn't add the lead in the CRM under this tag. You should use that tag, right? And so there's a lot of context that comes into place to making a perfect AI agent. And the Create AI Agent button, what it allows you to do is take this conversation that I just had. It worked perfectly, but now create a repeatable AI agent for me. And then it will go, the magic that is happening under the hood is that it takes that conversation, it reads, okay, which tools did I use? How did I need to use them? Because that is something that the AI model every time has to figure out from scratch, right? If you're, for example, using Odoo as an ERP system, it will not know by heart what are the different fields in the ERP that I can work with, right? And so the first time that it will try it, it will say, there was no field with client name. So let me check in the directory of that API, find how Odoo is doing the naming. I found it is under client double punt name, right? So it could be different semantics, and then it will try again. But if you take that conversation and you use that as the input for your AI agent creation, then you can really have this process where you're just, trial and error. Does this work? Okay, I got it to work. Now create me an agent, and it creates you the agent.
got it. So the
Yeah.
first time you do it, it's almost like it's like teaching a new hire how to do it, and then the new hire sort of gets it and can go
Exactly,
out.
exactly. That's like you do it one time and then you say, okay, now make this reproducible, make sure that this is like
Cool.
understandable for an AI model that hasn't seen this example yet, that it has that as a input structure. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Cedric, I want to wrap. If listeners want to find Wonka and you, where and how do they do that?
I think the best place is LinkedIn or Instagram. So just by my name. Or yeah, we're also recently started a TikTok. That's for the more fun part, I would say, of building a company. Obviously, it's not only about making AI agents, and that stuff you can see over there.
I love it. And you work with companies certainly inside Belgium and all around Europe, all around the world.
Currently we're operating solely in Europe, but in October we open an office in Canada, and so people from it will be in Montreal, so especially east side of the US, also very interested to start conversations and see whatever is possible.
Awesome. Cool. Cedric Gilissen, thank you so much for making the time.